Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on mass billing. I am Natasha from the Customer Success team at ActionStep, and today I'm going to take you through how to automate the billing process as your business grows. So today we're going to look at an overview of topics that we'll go through during this webinar and also through a demonstration. And then we will conclude letting you know where you can get some more information and if you'd like to sign up for one of our workshops. So welcome to today's webinar, and this webinar will demonstrate how you can automate your billing process so that you're spending less time reviewing and sending bills and more time generating those fees. The topics that will be covered today are: what is mass billing? Why would you use mass billing? How do you review bills before sending? How are bills included in mass billing? Can you exclude matters from mass billing? And can you bill auto-occurring fees each month? Some of these questions will be answered during the slides, and some will be answered in the demonstration itself. So mass billing enables us to send our invoices to our customers in bulk. One of the most important tasks in our organizations is billing our clients. We want our bills to be very clear and concise to our customers. We don't want our customers having to ask a large amount of questions on our bills, and we would like them paid in a timely fashion. So the best way to do this is to set our bills up so that we're billing in a recurring fashion and that those invoice templates are set up in a clear and concise manner. So in order to enable these stable business processes, we must regularly bill our clients, and by doing this, we understand our cash flow. Effectively, our cash flow is how we pay our staff, it's how we pay our outgoings, so we do need to know what's coming in relative to what's going out. There are some things about mass billing I've come across that a lot of customers don't know that it can do or that they aren't using, so I just wanted to run through a few of those points. So don't forget with mass billing, if you apply a payment on the invoice date from the bill production screen, it will show on the invoice itself. You can use the bill up to date if you bill for specific time periods. So for example, you could bill all your time and everything up to the end of the month, and you could have that invoice date be 1 week after that. And then we could bill every month in a recurring cycle. You can also set up a different participant type to bill. For example, if your client is someone who you aren't billing, you can set up a billing party participant and change the setting to bill them instead of the client. For example, sometimes we represent clients and it isn't actually the client that is paying the bill, it may be a different organization. So we can set that up with a different participant type. You can set up recurring fees using mass billing. So that may be, for example, if you're charging a customer $500 a month, in order to keep your eye on something, we can set that up so it will automatically bill every month. You can also set up very advanced invoice templates that populate different narrations and explanations based on a whole range of different data, custom data and matter types. Make sure to speak to one of our partners about this. If you need any help setting up these invoice templates, then please make sure to speak to a partner and they can give you some advice. You can also set up different invoice templates for different situations. So say, for example, we have one invoice that has a narration for a fixed fee, and we have different invoice template that shows time records. We can pick and choose these settings at the mass billing stage so that it will know what invoice template to use for that particular matter. And I will go through all of these during the demonstration. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm now just going to take you through a mass billing demo. So first of all, we're just going to concentrate on the different options we have for mass billing and where we set those, and then run through the mass billing screens with you. After this, we will work on the more advanced settings and maybe some things you didn't know mass billing could do. So first of all, the one setting we have to check, and it is normally a given, and that's in our matter type settings, and it's just making sure that our matter type is set to be billable. So in our matter type, I've used initial consult as my example, and we go into matter type settings. You'll see here that we have is billable. We turn that on because obviously we're billing time from this matter. If there were any other matter types, for example, administration matters that you didn't want to bill from, then you could switch this to off. So we just make sure that this is on and enabled. And then we'll have a look at one of the examples that I've set up. So here I have an initial consult matter. And what we will do is we'll go to billing and we'll look at the matter billing options. This is where we set up how we want this matter to be billed when we're mass billing. So first we check that it's enabled, which is something we can set at the matter type level. Then we check what invoice template we would like to use, who we would like this invoice to be sent to. Now the client will appear here, so you can just tick and it will automatically put the email address in. We can pick if we want the standard bill template email, or you can also customize this further to have a different type of email that accompanies the invoice, and whether we want any invoices printed. Now this is handy for if one of our customers doesn't have an email address. Then when we mass bill, it will email everyone's invoices to them who has email addresses, and can also print any that we need to send via post. We set up our billing arrangements and our quote and discount. And we also have here mass billing settings where we can exclude this matter from mass billing. So we also have an option where we may not want to include our matter to be mass billed, and we can tick this to exclude it and bill it separately. Once we're happy with our settings, we hit save. Now in this example, you'll see that I have two time records. One 600, one 750, so our total is 1350, and one is in September and one is in October. So when we're mass billing, we go up to the billing menu and go mass billing. And here we'll see any fees that need to be billed across all of our different matter types. So you'll see my test one here and the total amount here. Now we also have some options up here, and the interesting one here is the invoice date, and it does take today's date as the default, and invoice up to. So what this means here is it will only include billable time up to this date. So we may want to bill up to the end of September, and we can set that here. And it will then remove the other time record that I had for October, as you can see here in my example. So I can bill up to the last day of the month, send all those out, and then the next month bill up to the end of the next month, if that makes sense. And you can set these, you can schedule these how you like. Now up here, we have a bill template. We're using our matter default, and that's where we set that in that matter billing settings, and our payment terms. Now, once we've had a look and we're happy here, we can click on Bill All, and that will bill all of these matters and move it into draft. Okay, that's then moved all of them into draft. Now I can then go through and I can preview all of these invoices, and we can select none or select all. We can preview them, or we can approve them. So once we're happy with these invoices, we can approve them, which moves them into bill production. This is if we have any auto payments to do. Okay, so they've all now been moved into production. So what that means is all the final invoices are done. However, these haven't been sent or printed to anyone. So when we're in the bill production screen, we have an option here. We can preview them all again, we can revert them back to draft, or we can produce. And what produce does is it will go through those matter billing settings and it will email out all of the invoices to our customers or print them, and they will be removed from this screen. This screen is not meant to list all of your bills. It will show you the ones that haven't yet been produced, as in they haven't been sent to the client or printed. Once we hit produce, we will then see all the bills in the bills list. This will be a final copy of all of those bills. So when we're going through our mass billing, what we want to see is any time that needs to be billed in the mass billing section. So now we have 2. We want to see any draft bills, so ones that haven't yet been approved. And in bill production, any ones that haven't been produced. This is not a total list view of all of your bills. Once you have produced them, all of your bills should show in your bills list. Okay guys, I'm now just going to take you through a few advanced settings. So one thing we want to look at is when we've got some bills in bill production. So we build the matter, but we haven't actually produced those bills or sent them to the client yet. Then what we can do at this stage, if we are to apply a payment on or before the invoice date. So let's say, for example, my test matter here, we've got $750 in fees owing. Okay, and there's been no payments. But let's say I do want to create a payment and I want that to show on the invoice so that Betty knows how much she has to pay, because we've already had a payment come in for the $450. So I can save that payment down. Okay, now if I preview that invoice, you can see that payment's been applied, so that when I send that invoice to the client, they can see that payment's been applied and what money is left outstanding. So that's just something to be aware of that will work as long as obviously it hasn't been sent to the client already before you processed that payment, and that payment is dated on the invoice date or before. Also, what we want to have a look at is recurring fees. So again, if I go into my test matter and I look at billing and my matter billing options. Now, recurring fees happen, let's say we're keeping our eye on a legal matter for someone and we're just charging them, say, a $500 fee a month, just ongoing until the matter's been settled. So the billing arrangement would be fixed fee. And let's say I'm charging them $500 exclusive of gist, and I want them billed every billing cycle. So if I bill monthly, this fixed fee will auto appear in my mass billing. So there is a way that we can set up, so that will be a recurring auto fee monthly or every cycle. So depending on how often I mass bill is how I'd want to set this up. So that's something else to be wary of, that you can have these auto occurring fixed fees. And also what I wanted to quickly run through is consolidated billing. So we can also, it may be our preference that where we have one client who has multiple matters, we want all of those fees and that time to be included on one invoice. We don't want 3 separate invoices going to the same client on 3 different matters. So in order to do that, we need to go up to our admin settings and go to our general settings. And if we scroll right to the bottom, you will see this feature preview, and we want to turn consolidated billing to on and hit save. What we then want to do is the client who we want to make sure is billed in a consolidated form, we find their contact record. So let's say for this example, it's Andy Peterson. And we go to this accounting tab. Now we make sure that consolidated billing is enabled, and we pick an invoice template. Now we have to have a consolidated invoice template. It won't work with our usual invoice templates, and I'm quite happy at the end of this webinar, when we put the materials together, we will have example templates, invoice templates, and consolidated templates for you to download and use. So we pick our consolidated invoice template, who we want to get this invoice. If it's the client, we can obviously just tick it here, and our email template, and if we want any printed. So the same options that we have on normally would be our matter billing settings. This one's on the client because it will be used across all the matters that belong to this client. So I hit save. Now I've already gone and I've created time against 2 of Andy's matters. So if I go up to billing and mass billing, you'll see here that I have 2 matters that are Andy's. So he is the same client on both of those matters, and that's really important. It has to be the same client on the matters in order to consolidate bill. And you'll see here that my invoice type is consolidated. So if I click on these to be billed, we can see that that has moved into one invoice. And if I preview that invoice, you can see here that we have a matter summary of each matter, and then we have our fees in relation to each matter in one invoice. I just took you through consolidated billing. So now I just wanted to show you some different invoice templates that I have set up, and I will make these available as well in the materials that we'll send out after the webinar and workshops. So if I go to billing and to mass billing, you'll see I have these 2 tests here. Now this one here has different time records against it, and this one here actually has a fixed fee and a narration. So I just wanted to set those up a little bit differently in my templates. So both of those I have set at the matter billing settings, and I have picked different invoice templates. So if I bill these, okay, so you can see my template here is different. And let's preview the line item one first. Okay, so we can see all those different line items. It's quite easy. Now let's look at the narration one. and it's only a little bit different, but it has a narration and a fixed fee. We can see that here. So they're just from using 2 different templates. We can get 2 different fields for our invoices. Okay, so just one last thing before we go, and that is sometimes we do want to bill from a different party. So sometimes we have a client, but they're not the person that are actually paying the bills. And if this is something quite frequent for you, then there is a way to set this up differently in your system. So if we go up to admin and we go to general settings, now if we go down, we'll see that we have these contact type mappings. Now our customer is the person that we're billing. So if I change this and I make it the billing party instead, and I hit save, and I look in a test matter, now if I look at my parties here, you can see my client is Robert Nash, and that's who I'm dealing with in this matter. That's my client, but he's not actually paying it. He's got some legal community support and they're actually paying for me to deal with his matter. So I want to bill them. Now I can put this participant type on all my matter types and all my matters, so that if I am billing the client, I could put the client's details in here. But if I'm having to bill someone else, I can put their details in here. Now I've already created some time. So I'm going to go ahead and bill this matter. Okay, here. Now, if I preview this bill, you can see that that's being sent to the legal community support. And that's just an easy way, if that's something you're doing a lot and we want to bill a billing party instead of the client, that we can set up the system to do that. I hope this has all been really helpful. We do have workshops after this where you can ask questions and we can go more in depth into how we set these things up. So please make sure to sign up. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar today. Please note you will get a recording of this webinar to your email, and you'll also get an invitation to join one of our free workshops. So please make sure to take this up, as it's a great opportunity to ask questions and to get mass billing set up the way you want it to. If you've got any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to us at customersuccess@actionstep.com. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next webinar.